bulls are busted. I repeat, the bulls are busting big time. As Bitcoin supply is being slurped off the market faster than a box of wine at a bachelorette party, is the bust over? Or is this bust actually just beginning? The Moon Boys have undoubtedly initiated a mega bust, as over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has put in so far a roughly 6-7% candle, touching and by the time you're watching this, potentially even busting through the previous 52-week high, going all the way back to the dumpenings of the end of the last bull market. And there are a million reasons why this is happening, and they're all each bigger than the last. So if you believe this bull market is not going to be big, it's going to be insanely big, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And without any further ado, let's absolutely jump and dump into some absolutely mind-numbing data. So one of the first things I want to take a look at is this. Jim Cramer nailing it again. January 22nd, just a few weeks ago, as Bitcoin was struggling a little bit, having potentially the weakest sell the news event of all time. Jim Cramer nailing the bottom again, up 20%. Bitcoin up 20% since this exchange between Jim Cramer and Michael Saylor. Absolutely legendary. The world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, also saying that Bitcoin is creating a global internet of value. Larry Fink even saying if you're fearful of your government or worrying your government is devaluing the currency, you could see this as a great potential long-term store of value. It's like digital gold. And he goes on there. This is from the largest asset manager on the planet, BlackRock, the CEO, Larry Fink. Guys, it truly just doesn't get much bigger than this, okay? Here we have Bitcoin ETFs officially becoming the most popular ETFs in Wall Street history. In just 1 month, we can see IBIT, which is BlackRock's ETF, absolutely eclipsing other ETFs. Now, is this common? So one of the things I actually wanted to highlight here is that if we look, it's unusual for ETFs to have inflows every day. Here, these are the daily fund flows for gold, the first gold ETF, GLD. After its launch, it's one of the most successful ETF launches of all time. In 1 month, it had 8 days of positive flows, 1 day of negative flows, and 11 days with zero flows. The sustained demand we're seeing in Bitcoin ETFs right now is absolutely remarkable, to say the least. And Eric Balcuna is actually adding on here that it's very unusual and an underappreciated stat. These are the top 10 ETFs by their first month asset under management. And you can see at the top of the list, IBIT and FBTC, so BlackRock and Fidelity's Bitcoin ETFs. This is gigantic. And Bitcoin ETFs taken in over 2.2 billion more than Grayscale outflows since launching. Basically mocking people saying there will be no demand. Not only is there demand, so far we're seeing demand bigger than pretty much anyone could have ever dreamed, right? And it's just the beginning. Every $1,000 that Bitcoin pumps, this demand, in my opinion, is going to be more and more absolutely bonkers. BlackRock and Fidelity alone, just the top 2 Bitcoin spot ETFs, now hold over 150,000 Bitcoin, worth over 7 billion. Every day I'm pretty much getting on here and saying a new big number that in the billions of dollars that these ETFs are gobbling up. But just how much are they gobbling up? The new spot Bitcoin ETFs hold more Bitcoin now than Saylor's MicroStrategy. It just took a couple of weeks for the legend himself, MicroStrategy CEO and MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, to be eclipsed in terms of the number of Bitcoin that are being held, excluding GBTC. You can see here, did not take very long, less than a month. And another stat we've been watching is Mag the Scalping Pro talking just about the accumulation schematic number 2, Wyckoff events and phases of the altcoin market cap, as we are about to enter phase E, where, in my opinion, we are about to see altcoins, just the altcoin market cap, once again, shoot over $1 trillion in value, in market cap. And Bitcoin ETFs have had the second biggest day of inflows yesterday. They bought about 9,000 Bitcoin. Okay, 9,000 Bitcoin. That's about 9 times more than the daily issuance of Bitcoin that's brought onto the market. And if you're familiar with how demand works in a bull market, how bullish things get, in terms of the FOMO euphoria. We're already seeing this much Bitcoin get gobbled up by these spot ETFs. We're not even talking about retail just buying like through Coinbase. This amount is being gobbled up through the Bitcoin spot ETFs, and we're still like $20,000 away from previous all-time highs. How much is going to be gobbled up when the euphoria kicks in, when we're just a couple $1,000s away from previous all-time highs, when we're at all-time highs at 69,000? Nice. When we're above 69,000, will tens of thousands of Bitcoin be gobbled up in single days just from the Bitcoin spot ETFs, the 9 Bitcoin spot ETFs? Not only do I think that's the case, I absolutely, big time, think it's the case. Now, if we look on the daily chart already, actually Bitcoin, since I started recording this just a couple of minutes ago, it has put in another bust above 48,000. Now, at some point, maybe today we will have a little bit of a drawdown, considering so far today we've gone up over 6%. But again, as we talked about yesterday, daily is looking bullish. It transferred a little bit to the weekly. As we talked about the Bollinger Bands a couple days ago, extremely tight. We said, the last 3 times they were tight this year, it amounted in a huge move, and we're getting that move right now. This move is still pretty early on. Maybe we'll see this go over 50K for the first time since the end of the bull market. We now are also above, again, this trend line, which has been massive for the entirety of from the entirety of the recovery, from about 15,500 to where we are now. It's been absolutely giga important. We're above that now. Bitcoin's weekly chart, again, momentum shifting. It's actually not getting a bearish cross on the MACD. If we go to the daily chart, obviously bullish momentum continuing to pick up above all key moving averages. The previous high was right at about 49,000 that we set back on January 11th. Is Bitcoin going to be able to put it in the top there? Are we going to form some sort of short-term double top, which some people are afraid of? Or are we just going to continue through 49, 50, and beyond? That's the big question. As we talked about 2 days ago, we talked about getting above 45 as being the beginning of a potential break. And so far, it absolutely has been the beginning of a massive bust. 49,000 is a target a lot of people are talking about. Now, also the SPX, this has been remarkable to watch as well. The stock market, the S&P 500 breached 5,000 for the first time, and now it's already at 5,019. Currently today, it's up about 0.5%. Just massive gainers on the stock market. It's so important to understand still that we are in an election year with rate cuts coming most likely in just a month or two, right? Just a few months. We have the Bitcoin halving in about 2 months. I'm going to say this every day that I make a video, basically. If you want a perfect storm of like what may be the best case scenario for a massive Bitcoin bull market, do I dare say the word a super cycle, a giga cycle, a massive cycle bust? Well, if you want a recipe for that, I don't know. To me, this seems like the literal perfect recipe for it. Now, I don't want to get too excited, right? And I almost want to say I don't want to be too bullish, but that's absolutely just silly. You can't be too bullish on the most important asset in the history of mankind, the most bullish asset in the history of mankind. If you really zoom out, it's literally only gone up forever. Sure, you can have one of those 1 or 2 year periods where you have a little bit of a dump. Zoom out though. Bears long-term have only been completely wrong, completely delusional. And that absolutely is not going to be changing anytime soon. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. So I do think it's really important as well, looking at the entire altcoin market cap. Again, as we talked about Mags the Scalping Pro saying about this, here is the pre-bust, right? We are about to exit the pre-bust. This is huge, okay? I don't have another word for this. Just gigantic. I believe we're going to be adding trillions of dollars to the entire cryptocurrency market cap. Many of those trillions will be in the entire altcoin market cap. Currently, the entire altcoin market cap is at about $800 billion in valuation in market cap. The entire crypto market cap is about 1.75, with Bitcoin taking up a massive amount of that. Actually, and if we look at Bitcoin dominance right now is about 53.88%. So Bitcoin accounts for more than half of the market at this moment. And I think that altcoins are getting ready to start running. Bitcoin has been absolutely busting big time the entire year, as any zoomed out chart will show you, right? Go from here, very beginning of 2023, from 15.5, 16.5 to where we are now, almost 50,000. Bitcoin has completely dominated. Let's actually see how far away Bitcoin is right now from previous all-time highs percentage-wise. It's about 42, 43% away. A lot of these alts are still 70, 80, 90% from their all-time highs. Absolutely not all of them are going to go back to their all-time highs, probably. But I mean, in a bull market, things get extremely, extremely bullish. And, this isn't just big. It's extremely big. And sign up with Femex below if you want to buy Bitcoin, if you want to buy altcoins, or if you want to trade. Without any further ado, that's it for me.